Oh, we're recording now? Is it? Look at that. I just looked over. Previously on FC3 Monkey Business. But Picard, we have no idea if that'll affect us. Never mind. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
But we might have started already.
I guess that's the thing. I didn't even do an intro today. That's kind of amazing. We're just kind of chatting away.
Yeah, well, last week we didn't have a beginning break.
I'm out of state, so I figure I'll throw things off a little bit here. Make it a little different.
I'm in a state of confusion.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Rochester, the city that's turning back into the Old West.
In 7, 3, 4. This podcast has officially hit 88 miles an hour. That's ridiculous. Why did I say that? I have no idea.
I don't know. That's a good start to it.
From Rochester, the home of 4 people who would probably rather be in bed right now instead of talking about this nonsense, this is FC3's Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky, and everything can be geeky if you love it enough. Starring Danny Trejo, starring Billy Anderson, starring Tanya, I can't think of a good celebrity with the last name of anyway, and starring somebody who lost track of what the hell he was talking about 30 seconds ago.
Christopher Lloyd?
Yeah, there we go, Christopher Lloyd. Great Scott! This podcast is already off to a very rough start.
Heavy.
How are you guys?
Oh,
I'm good. I'm actually in bed.
You are? I'm jealous. Slightly.
I'm sitting on my bed right now because I have nowhere else to be.
You're in Pennsylvania at the moment?
Yep, Pennsylvania here, and
where bridges may be icy.
Yes, every bridge may be icy in Pennsylvania. There are signs to prove it too.
Yes. Are you guys familiar with that concept at all? I think we noticed it on a road trip once a long time ago.
Yeah,
where basically,
road trip to DC. We drove to
yes, on a road trip to DC, every bridge, even if it was like over a small creek, there was a sign saying "Bridge may be icy," and I'm like, somebody had a brother-in-law at the Department of Transportation sign-making department. That's all I have to say, because it was ridiculous. It was hilarious.
Every single bridge. It's like, okay, we get the picture here. Bridges may be icy. Just give me one big sign when I enter the state. All bridges may be icy.
Yeah, but maybe you're coming in from that you're already in the state.
Maybe you're coming into Pennsylvania from Colorado, and you're not or Texas. That's it. You're coming to Pennsylvania from Texas, where bridges are not.
And you missed the first 100 signs for the 100 bridges you went.
Exactly.
The first bridge doesn't have a sign, and you might slip. Even in the summer, it might be icy.
Actually, I met somebody yesterday from Texas while I was golfing.
I'm sorry.
They're up working on the gas pipeline in Scottsville.
Oh, okay.
For the next several months.
Cool.
Hey, Chris.
Yes, sir.
I ain't no corn binder.
We were on that infamous road trip to DC. Or was it to the one to Lancaster Festival? I don't remember.
DC. It was to DC.
But we had a CB in the whatever vehicle we were driving at the moment. So we're listening.
The Altima.
Oh, was it the Altima?
No, it
wasn't the Altima. We had it in a van.
Because this was on the trip to DC. We had the Altima. We had the CB.
Well,
with a giant panic button with bald tires.
Yes, the bald tires were brutal. I think we're mixing our road trips up, but regardless,
it happens.
There was a CB in the vehicle we were driving, and we were listening to the chatter of the truckers as they were, chatting back and forth. And at one point, you hear some guys talking about some road work or whatever, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm passing up some corn binder over here right now," and he's going slower than molasses. And then you hear, "I ain't no corn binder," and we just lost it. I mean, road fever was settling in at this point, so I think that magnified how funny that actually was. But that was probably one of the lines that stuck
the
with
CB
us.
was our entertainment because you didn't have cell phones and stuff back then and everything, and
right, or satellite radio.
Yeah, so we had
you get static every so often.
Right.
Yeah, but it was entertaining.
Let them eat static.
Yes.
But yeah, it wound up being amusing as all hell, and there are lines just like throwaway comments and stuff like that from that particular trip that have stuck with us for our entire lives.
Mhm.
And it's always funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So how long are you in Pennsylvania for?
for the week.
Okay.
So
See, I'll tell you what. We've commented on this in the past couple of weeks, where the pandemic did give us the ability to do what we do without needing to be in the same room anymore. So
Right.
we're like kind of embracing technology all the more these days, and that makes it fun. We can record podcasts even when we are
away on vacation kind of thing.
in separate states.
Yeah.
So that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
That is, I got to say, that's kind of neat,
It's nice having the ability.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you sound great.
Why, thank you.
You definitely sound like you're not on a telephone or anything, so that's kind of neat.
Oh, good, because I'm not on a telephone.
He should be on his computer.
Yeah.
Well, get off the computer and
I'm sitting on the
call
bed.
in.
Yeah, I'll sit on the bed instead. I'm not going to sit on the computer.
And there's Dan's humor. I appreciate
boy.
it so much.
It's all good stuff here.
All right, so this week we are going to be discussing the end of the trilogy of Back to the Future Part 3. I will say right from the outset of the conversation that I have a different opinion of Part 3 that I did of Part 2, which I'm sure people will be pleased about.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talked about this a little bit before, while we were recording, before we actually jumped into the earnest podcast itself, we all
before the
acknowledge.
recording,
Yeah, before the recording, exactly. I think we've all acknowledged the fact that Part 2, it was messy because it had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we can go ahead and comment on this, that, and the other thing, but the long and the short of it is that, in the final analysis, Part 2 was the bridge between 1 and 3, and it's only if it's a standalone movie, you have no damn clue.
No,
right?
It is
Or
not.
probably
It
appreciation.
could never be a standalone movie.
Right.
1 can be, 3 possibly could be, but 2 is in the middle.
I think they do an okay job of pardon that pun, right?
Go figure.
And I think Part 3 they did a little bit of work to try and kind of do catch up setup in the first little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But as a standalone, I'm not sure if it's got the horsepower to be a standalone.
No, it's more so than 2 though.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to laugh at ourselves for our inanities. And when we come back, we're going to sit down and have ourselves a proper chat about Back to the Future Part 3. A new fragrance from the line of the Mighty Monkey.
Spoilers.
When you want that little hint of adventure.
Spoilers.
When you know it's coming, but you're not sure after all.
Spoilers.
When your PSA makes no goddamn sense, but you're gonna go for it anyway. Spoilers. And on that happy and pious note, we have returned from break.
And what break it was.
So that was the first observation Tanya made, and we're going to fix that or work on that. Is that the clock? We never see the clock actually running. I don't think. Do we?
No, because in 1955 it was hit by the.
Well, and the first one did before it gets hit by lightning. So before Marty goes back or goes up, back to the future.
Oh, okay,
the first time.
All right. Fair.
That's the only time it's running.
And they get it running for a little, like they do the ceremonial starting of the clock during Part 3.
Yep.
But you really don't see it fully.
Not in the building and stuff.
Not in the building, mounted up and whatnot. So, that poor clock.
I know, but it was one of those things that's consistent through all the movies there.
So I just want to point out that they go back. Because they do the setup, so they get started into the movie Part 3, and they reassert that Marty and Doc have been reunited. And Doc is really kind of reacting weirdly to the fact that Marty is back a second time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he seems to be panicking about it, like he doesn't believe it's happening, even though he just helped a time travel experiment come to fruition he's having a hard time dealing with the fact that somebody came back from the future. There was a lot of yelling in these movies. Have you noticed that? A lot of yelling, a lot of screaming.
Doc told him in the letter not to come back for him.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
But he's back, so why would you overreact like that? I mean, get a little cranky, but he was fainting? It didn't sit. I don't know. Anyway, so they set up everything, and they find the DeLorean in an old cave, which I thought was great. The fact that it lasted so long. I mean, stainless steel, what are you going to do?
Right.
And
the white wall tires that they put on it.
The white wall tires were a great touch. The car looked ridiculous, and I thought I was there for that. I was absolutely there for that. It was hilarious. So,
white
but
I think my only nitpick with in this movie is that if Doc had been killed in 1885 to the point where they found his grave in 1955, shouldn't that Doc already be dead?
Well, you see what you're seeing is the time traveler paradox of things. So the Doc in 1955 is the genuine, we'll call him the prime one, right? So he's the guy who was born in 30-something or whatever the case may be, and the one who will grow up to be, the Doc in 85 that invents the machine. So the one that died in the Old West, or quote unquote died, or that was set up in the beginning of the movie, is the one that went back from 85. So it's basically you're seeing our current Doc, the one that Marty first got to meet, first went on his adventures with, and the befriended. So the one that's in the past is actually
the one from
older than the one in 55. So he's got this loop right now where he died before he was born, but it's all there. The loop kind of makes sense at the moment for people who are used to time traveling stories like I am, I suppose. But
I thought this movie was just really charming.
Oh yeah,
I really enjoyed it. It's funny. It's a Western science fiction movie. Is it a precursor to Firefly?
I don't know if I would go that far.
No. Of course I wouldn't, but just the whole Western sci-fi.
Yeah, the Western sci-fi vibe is that speaks. That speaks definitely.
I think the most important thing with these is they had a lot of fun with these movies. 2 and 3 both. I mean, they were having fun. I think when in number 2 when Marty was when Michael J. Fox went as Marty's kids. And then 3 they're just having the crazy cowboy outfit they put Marty in.
Yeah, and you knew it wasn't going to be treated well. It was going to be like quote unquote authentic, as it were.
And then when they were going back to 1885 and he's going towards the billboard of the Indians, it's just they won't exist when you go back. And then of course when he goes back,
he goes right into it.
Yeah, he plows right into him. Now it's funny. I was making a comment to myself while watching it. That parts of this movie would not be able to be created the way they are. If this movie was being made today, this movie would not be able to get made the way it was. Right? Because the Indians. It doesn't matter if it was culturally accurate that they called the Native Americans Indians back in the day. Somebody would get pissed off and they'd be like, nope, we have to rewrite this part. And,
it's well, that's hard because they're doing it at that time, so it's. But people, okay, let's not get into the touchy-feely part of the world today.
Right. Well, and I'm glad we're aware enough to have these conversations. But the long and the short of it is that you look at how it would affect. There's a lot of movies that we loved from the 70s, 80s, and even 90s that they couldn't pull them off.
They won't work today because of different
sensibilities.
Yeah, people's views have changed. And stuff, and some good, some maybe not as good, but we've everything change is constant. So
there it is. That is accurate right there. Change is constant.
But anyways, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Part 3.
So, but I like this one better because there's a level of stability to the story. He goes back to the Old West and it stays there, right? So there is, everything is right there, and they stick with it, and they're able to build the story from scratch and kind of let it evolve. It's not this frantic, well, we have to go to this time period, we have to set this up, we have to set this, oh, here's an in-joke that we're going to need for later. They were able to avoid a lot of that stuff.
Right.
One thing I liked about this franchise, and maybe the first one, you think of that's one. The first Back to the Future is one of the few like true blockbusters that
Mm-hmm.
was built out of like whole cloth, all by itself. Wasn't based on a previous story. Wasn't based on like a comic book or a novel or
That's
wasn't a
valid.
reboot of a previous movie. It was
Yeah.
just its own thing, and they created its own whole story all by itself.
Its own universe of sorts.
Yeah,
That's valid. I didn't even consider that. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that adds to it because then, we've talked about it on this very podcast over the years. Hollywood is out of ideas. Well, no, they had one for this one.
There are some ideas, but they're definitely fewer
And far between.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it was just overall the whole trilogy. I think was just a fun trilogy. It was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look too deep in anything, you're gonna find problems and stuff. And I definitely noticed some stuff during these movies, but overall, I think they were just a fun way, and they handled it kind of uniquely, especially with 2 going back to the dance and weaving all that stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
And just how they tied all the movies together, and the same characters, Biff and Griff and whatever, and
Buford
Mad Dog.
Yeah, Mad.
Nobody calls me Mad Dog. I hate that name.
that's one of the great running jokes, actually, in number 3, where Marty will use a current vernacular, and Biff will just sort of like look at his guys and not know what he's talking about.
Yeah, stare like a stunned puppy dog.
Like,
wait,
dance for me when he does the moonwalk.
he does the moonwalk. I know. There were a lot of cute moments in it, and I think that made the whole thing a little more endearing. You get that Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court kind of vibe, right? Where you're the man out of time. What other cliche can I come up with? They all fit really at this point, and just the incongruities of the '80s sensibility plus Old West exposure.
I loved the ZZ Top cameo.
Yes.
Now I looked closely. I don't think that was actually ZZ Top.
No, it is.
It is.
It is.
It's them.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely them.
It did look like them. That's amazing. I guess I'm used to a certain.
And in
I
fact,
didn't think Billy Gibbons was that rotund.
in fact, the song they play at the carnival festival, whatever it is the theme, is the song that plays over the end credits.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew they wrote it, and I knew they performed music for the soundtrack. It just, when they made the actual reference, it just didn't look like the band to me, and I really looked hard because I thought that would be the cameo.
And I like the cute little thing where they spin the instrument.
Yep,
right.
That was
like
great.
they did in the videos.
Yep, that was fun.
Very clever
like
touch.
I said, they had fun with these movies, which is what I loved. So
yeah.
In fact, I now that you mention, I read a story online because I was doing some research on the bit when ZZ Top was there filming their scene. There was like a break while they were doing a setup or lighting or whatever. So Michael J. Fox asked if they could do, I think it was "Hey Good Looking," just play a song. And they did, and they wound up playing for like an hour. They were just having fun. They did like an hour concert.
Nobody was worried about the schedule at the moment.
Are we ready to start filming yet? And Zemeckis goes, "Yeah, we've been ready for a while. I just didn't want to stop the fun."
See, and you don't hear about that a lot on Hollywood movies. They're usually like, "No, we're on a schedule. Let's get to it." So the fact that they actually, they were having a good time, not just on screen, but off of it as well. That's always kind of neat to see stuff like that.
Yeah, you want that though when you're filming. I mean, I would think that most actors would want that when you're like filming and stuff like that, to have fun.
Right.
I mean, why else are they doing it if not to have fun? I mean, especially doing a comedy type of series like this. But either way, just enjoying what they're doing.
You get those stories of the serious method actors who are like deep into their parts. Christian Bale, I'm looking at you, and if you break their vibe, they end up like me after Tanya's interrupted me 4 times in a row.
Or actually, Eric Stoltz, the original Marty McFly.
Oh yeah, he was. He was not the vibe they wanted. So
yeah, it would have been. Might not have been a 2 and a 3 if he would have stayed in the role there.
I can almost believe it. It sounded like the way Tanya was talking about the trivia stuff and how they were talking about the details of Eric Stoltz being there. It really felt like it was an entirely different movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I think it's hilarious that we've mentioned her like 3 times and she hasn't said a damn thing yet. That's kind of weird.
Is she still there?
I don't know.
Tanya.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
we thought we lost you there for a moment.
No, I was just trying to figure out how many more times that you could say my name and things like that.
Well, you'll have to go
Tanya!
back to Jan and
Tanya.
At this point, then, in the next break, Dan, you have to find a clip from the YouTube video, the Tanya song, where a guy basically just does the, Tanya.
I don't think our listeners really want to hear that.
I do. I'm a listener. I listen to our podcast, and and that's something I want. So therefore, I'm requesting. Ha
I'll see what I can do.
Oh, brother.
Oh, sister.
No, Dan and I don't know.
You guys are a state apart.
Where art thou? I don't know. What do you do?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I am sweet and innocent.
We're in a state of confusion. I think that's what we are. So we're in the same state.
Always. We are always in a state of confusion. Okay, so back to the movie, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
3.
Now, all right. So we get there. He gets settled in. A lot of the hijinks ensues. He gets made fun of for his outfit.
Mm-hmm. Meets his great whatever
great grandfather
with his hats.
Yes, gotta have a hat.
Which that part was originally written for Crispin Glover, who once again decided, because they filmed 2 and 3 at the same time,
mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be in 2, so they had to have Michael J. Fox married to his future mom instead of Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up on that. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, huh? Like, what's going on here? And then I realized that it was probably, like Billy was saying, there's going to be some jiggery pokery there because it was probably meant for him.
Yeah.
Casting is everything, and you gotta know the actor, their vibe. You gotta know who they are as a person, and it made sense because in the first movie, George was so awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So Crispin Glover being so awkward really makes it work.
Yeah.
But having Crispin Glover on staff for future movies didn't work so well.
Yeah.
I remember on tangent, when he was when Crispin Glover was in that Charlie's Angels movie.
Mm-hmm.
The creepy thin man was all they ever called him, and it was just, it was uncomfortable.
It was creepy, and it was creepy.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable. I'm like, wow, what is going on with this guy?
Right. I mean, he played a creepy thin man well, I guess, right?
Yeah, no typecasting, at all.
Yeah,
of course not.
Anyway, all right, so he's in town. He's reunited with Doc. We know it's our Doc for a change of pace, not the Doc who's trying to keep catch up in the 1950s, but the 1980s, the Doc who started everything in the first place.
The one who made a giant ice cube maker.
Yeah, for one solid ice cube.
Oh, and the water was nasty.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Oh geez.
It was well water. There you have it.
Yeah.
And there was no Anderson water systems back in
the
day.
And this is why we don't drink my parents' water, even after the Culligan water softener system. We don't do that. It's yucky.
Not as yucky as the water they showed there.
No.
It was initially.
Do you really think it was as bad as it was back in the day, or was it just a sight gag for the movie?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd hope it wasn't that bad. I mean, that was just yuck.
Yeah.
I hope at least it was somewhat clear, and there must be some streams around somewhere, or wells that aren't that polluted, I would think, but I don't know. I wasn't there.
That's true. Well, we got to get back to work on the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Or the rabbit.
Do you think DeLorean? What would happen to the DeLorean company if this movie wasn't made?
I think it was still doomed to begin with. Yeah. I think DeLorean was it already collapsed at that point?
It might have been.
I think that was part of the joke, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think part of the humor of it is the fact that the DeLorean company had already kind of collapsed by that point. Where's my research people here? Hang on.
Hold on.
Because it's coming back, or it's coming back now.
Kind of, because the nostalgia kick. DeLorean Motor Company, founded October 24th, 1975, defunct 1982. So yeah, it was long gone by the time Part 3 was made.
Okay.
Oh, here's a little something I wanted to throw in that I got a kick out of. When Marty and 1955 Doc get the DeLorean in the white wall tires and the the transistor tube, the vacuum tubed circuit there,
big
strapped to the hood.
Thing there, geez, yeah.
The microchip that he held in his fingertips was now a hood ornament. What did they set the timer to? They went back to September 2nd, 1885.
Your birthday.
Your birthday.
My birthday. Now, that in and of itself was entertaining to me. But the best part is the day they go back is October 27th, 1985, and that's my mom's birthday. And I'm looking for the entire time. I'm looking for references to December 29th. If they can get my dad in there somewhere, then I had the trifecta.
Well, it's impressive to have both years there. I mean, come on.
I know that would have been amazing. But yeah, October 27th and September 2nd were featured in Back to the Future 3. So I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder.
There you go.
That one. Yay!
I don't see very November 1st anywhere. So yeah.
Right around Halloween, typically, when you see the Halloween movies, I think they defeated Michael Myers on All Saints Day once.
Okay.
Or was it Jason? Who was in the Halloween movie?
I don't know.
Halloween is hold on.
Michael Myers, I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah, Friday the 13th is Jason. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes.
So there you have it.
Now, my question is, or something that they could have done to confuse the whole time thing even more. When they needed gas and realized they couldn't get it going without gas, they could have sent another letter to be waiting for 1955 Marty.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have had the the run up to the train scene. Yeah. Really, when it comes down to it. But yeah, that would have because Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure did that really well. Where they kind of like, and then I'm going to remind myself to go back in time and do this. And suddenly the thing was there. And they're like, oh, okay.
Should we do the Bill and Ted series, not one of the next ones?
I absolutely think so. Especially, I never got a chance to watch the third one. So that would be a good impetus to...
me neither.
Excellent.
Me neither.
So I don't know if our next one will be Bill and Ted, but,
one of the future ones, yeah.
Yeah, one of the future ones will be Bill and Ted.
But Back to the Future...
Now, I thought Mary Steenburgen was excellent.
That's Clara.
She always is. She's always. I love that woman.
Like
she's
14,
amazing.
15 years younger than Christopher Lloyd, and looks it.
Yeah,
but she's delightful.
Right. And she plays the naive part really well. Yeah.
And I think it's funny that when you think about it, she's married to Ted Danson in real life.
Yes.
And has a screen romance with Christopher Lloyd. So how many more people from Taxi can she work her way through?
Whoa.
So, somebody called DeVito.
Yeah. Get Tony Danza on the
Tony Danza.
Tony Danza, Hirsch.
And then the controversial Mary Lou Henner scene.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, sure. I'm there for that, sort of. That's funny though. That's a great observation.
What did I just read about? Mary Steenburgen was like the directors and producers' only choice. That's who they wanted, and her
from the beginning.
Kids wanted her to do the movie because they love the other two so much.
Okay. You hear that a lot where the children are the deciding factor of whether the adult actor gets involved in a particular project. Like Richard Harris, he took on Dumbledore because his grandkids were like, "Yes, you have to do this. It'll be amazing." And then he asked his agent, "How do I get out of this contract?" And the agent said, "Well, die." And so he did. Well, that took a turn.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. On that note, I'll jump into some trivia.
Okay, trivia. Yay.
Okay.
Saves the day.
So we were talking about the clock in the 10:04 time or whatever. It says before the new courthouse clock is reset to 8 o'clock, ready for its official 8 o'clock start, it can be seen behind Doc and Marty when they're looking at the map of the ravine where it reads 10:04, the precise time in the future where it's destined to stop.
Oh.
The other thing it said that when they take the picture, Doc and Marty have their picture taken at 8:08 p.m. It's possibly a reference to the 88 miles an hour per speed that the DeLorean must reach before it can travel through time.
That's fair.
This is the only film in the trilogy where Marty and Doc Brown exchange catchphrases. Marty says, "Great Scott," and Doc Brown replies, "Yes, this is heavy."
Yes.
When I was talking about the tombstone photo.
Yep, I remember that one. I did mark that in my head. That was good stuff.
The location of 1885 Hill Valley was the same one used for Clint Eastwood's Pale Rider, 1985. Ironically, that film was knocked off the #1 slot at the box office in 1985 by Back to the Future in 1985.
My name is Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
What kind of silly name is that?
Eastwood Ravine.
A piece of casting that almost happened but didn't. Ronald Reagan playing the mayor back in 1885.
No.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Wow.
Because he used to do a lot of Westerns when he was a movie star.
Right.
And they name-checked him in the first one.
Yes.
Where he says Ronald Reagan's the president, and who's the first lady? Jane Wyman.
He was in the second one. He was in the second one too.
Second one in Cafe 80s. He was the Max Headroom looking thing.
That's hilarious. That's a good point.
That would have been awesome if he made it in the third one. Jeez.
Let's see. I did see that Michael Winslow did the sound effects for Marty's feet doing the moonwalk.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Talk about having a well-known Foley artist.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, during the break dancing sequence. Let's see.
We gotta get him to FC3.
I know, he'd be amazing. It was so much fun to meet him that one time.
I know, it's unexpected.
Sneak him in. Let's see.
That's how we'll introduce him in this panel. We'll do a reenactment of the time we snuck him into the other convention.
Here, we'll put one of our lanyards on him. Let's see.
The scene where Marty almost got choked. He really
hanging?
did get choked.
Yeah, he became unconscious.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So it was a failed stunt that almost killed a guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
There's quite a few of those resplendent throughout Hollywood history.
Clint Eastwood was asked for permission about his name being used for Marty in the film. He consented. It was said to be tickled by the homage.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. It's always good when people have a sense of humor about themselves. You know?
Right. It's the people who don't like. Oh, why not? Come on.
I know. Seriously, it's just simple things. What are you worried about? You know.
Yeah.
There's the one. Let's see.
So we see the fruition of all the things they set up in part 2. You know, his ability to shoot. You know, they touch that. You know, the references to Buford, the whole boilerplate, you know, thing. Because you see Biff watching the Clint Eastwood movie in 1950 something, and then it comes around, or was it? I don't remember
85.
what it was. Yeah, it was the 85.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you see it come around in you know, in the gunfight. So and the eventual climactic fight of the film.
Yep.
And there's lots of little references that all kind of come to fruition. And I know it was probably easier because, like we've said on several occasions, they're making parts 2 and 3 at the same time, so that continuity is easy to kind of keep track of for them. They're like, okay, we just filmed that scene yesterday, so we got to make sure to do the setup scene for this movie today.
Mhm.
Yeah, it says the scene where Marty and Jennifer kiss on the porch was the only scene shot while Back to the Future 2 was being made.
Okay.
That way they didn't need Elizabeth Shue at all during the shooting of Back
to the Future 3.
Right. So that's economy there.
I need it at the end.
That was the scene that was shot during.
So if she was not around for the shooting of any of 3, they did her number 3 scenes while they were finishing up number 2.
No, the only scene was them kissing was when Back to the Future 2 was being made. That was the only one for 3 that was made when 2 was done, and then
there's the little blooper that became famous at the end of Back to the Future 3, where Jules or Verne, I forget which one, is looking straight at the camera and pointing towards his crotch because he has to pee.
I never noticed that. It's probably why they left it in. Is just it's inconsequential unless you're looking for it. That's funny.
I didn't notice it. I'll have to look. But yeah,
that's funny.
But I did almost cry when the train hit the DeLorean.
Right.
Oh, I know, because I had forgotten. It's been so long since I've seen this movie that I had totally forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was coming, but still.
Well, they wanted to make sure it was no longer a usable item.
Yeah.
Yes. Some assembly required. And now, here's me looking at it from the aspect of having watched so many different "this technology cannot fall into the wrong hands" stories. Is I'm like, all right, well, you got to pick up the computer. You got to at least get the flux capacitor, get that out of there, so when people come to clean up the debris,
get the Mr. Fusion. I mean, come on.
Get the Mr. Fusion. Come on, what the hell, dude?
Right. Yeah, I did question that myself too. Why did you leave all those pieces around? I would have.
Right. Because at this point we're no longer allowed to just enjoy a film. We have Tanya's always talking about check your brain at the door. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time doing that now.
Yeah.
I know too much.
I do and I don't. I do so I can enjoy it, but I still do question it. But I don't let it. Mm-hmm. I don't let it ruin my enjoyment of it.
Right.
If there is enjoyment, of things. But yeah, I still said, why don't you get those pieces in my head?
I was going, no, the car!
Take the license plate at least.
I know, it's a souvenir.
Mm-hmm. That's right. But, yeah.
And once again, the sort of great unspoken character, the score. The score for the movie is fantastic.
Yeah, we've talked about that often, where music makes the movie. I mean, we talked about it in Star Wars with John Williams. We wonder even Star Wars would have been as popular as it was without the soundtrack. And it does. It has that feel, and you're used to the theme song now, or the theme melody, and it just makes it so much better. So I agree with you on that one, Bill.
Music brings the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen things where people strip the music out of movies and shows and stuff, and you watch it ugh.
Yeah.
It's not even the same thing, really.
It becomes unwatchable almost. It's like, wait, I'm missing something here. Very importante.
It's always there, but you don't always notice it, but it's there. You don't consciously notice it, but you're subconsciously, it's part of it, though. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did you notice that the scene where at the festival where Mad Dog grabs Clara to dance with her looks a lot like Biff grabbing
it didn't it? Okay, thank you. That was a connection I was trying to make and I couldn't figure it out.
Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost the exact same sort of body language and dialogue.
I'm sure that was on purpose too.
Yeah.
A good point. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
I knew it looked familiar. You know what I was thinking is, as a matter of fact, the thought that popped into my head was it was very much like the motion and the body language of the Michael Keaton Batman, where Joker grabs Vicky Vale.
Oh.
And that's that flopping around like a rag doll. And I think the movies are almost contemporary to each other, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Batman came out in '89. So.
Right. So that was a connection that I was making, but you make a much better one. That's definitely more accurate, where it kind of gives a full circle of the actual franchise. So I like that one better. But I was having a hard time with it because I was watching it. I'm like, this looks familiar, and I cannot place why.
Mm-hmm.
And then Billy nailed it.
That's a good point. I didn't pick up on that.
And actually, one piece of trivia that I'd never noticed till I read it online. If you notice, the Marshall Strickland's deputy arrests Mad Dog at the end of the movie because in a scene that wound up not making the final cut, Mad Dog kills Marshall Strickland.
Really?
Yes, and so when the deputy is reading the charges, they had to cut to a shot of Marty and Doc Brown because the original line had him being arrested for the murder of Marshall Strickland.
All right. That's interesting, because I did wonder about that when I saw the second Marshall show up. I'm like, well, where'd Strickland go? Because I think that would have been more kind of in tune with the flow of the story.
But they thought it'd be too dark for the feel of that movie, so they decided to go away with Mad Dog killing the Marshal.
Yeah, it wasn't necessary to kill the Marshal, so yeah, that was...
Huh. Well, go figure that one. I do like the fact that they gave Strickland that scene where he's talking to his son, and so you see the wisdom of the Stricklands being handed down from generation to generation about discipline and order and slackers and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, you can almost see how it's being
ingrained.
That line keeps,
yeah.
It's everybody's going to have their part to play in the in Hill Valley of our present, their future. So I thought that was interesting, at least. But they shouldn't have cut that scene. That would have been interesting to see for the story's sake.
I wonder if I have the DVD box set. I wonder if it's on there. I haven't looked at the box set in a long time, so.
Might be on YouTube somewhere too if it's a deleted scene. It's interesting. It would have opened up more questions as far as what would have changed his future. The Strickland was such a strong force in the. How would that have changed things? I don't know. That would have almost created more loops in.
Oh no! Not more. Oh well.
So if you were actually, I know the answer to this from Chris. How would you rate 1, 2, and 3, like in order of preference, like best to worst?
1 is always pretty much.
Yeah, one is the perfect movie, I think.
Yeah.
Right. It is because it is potentially self-contained, even with the cliffhanger kind of reference at the end. It's not really necessary for it to be anything more than it was. So you guys are somebody had already answered. I thought.
No.
Did I hear that? No. Okay. Well, I'm voting for 1, 3, 2.
That would be the same.
Yeah.
Probably
this one was definitely more fun than 2.
And I would not. I would put 3 like right under. I mean, it would not like 1 and then many votes later 3 and then definitely far away 2. 3 was it was a lot of fun. It was like Billy had said, it's charming. There's a certain kind of flow and a rhythm to it, and there's a lot of fun little nuances to it. Now that you're invested in the franchise, you see this stuff.
Like they spent the first 2 movies focusing on Marty and his family. This one was Doc Brown's movie.
Right. And I did like that little touch of that, that he got his opportunity to have his romance and to, have his moment and pass out after his first shot of whiskey and have a family, have his happily ever after. You're not just invested in Marty and Marty being successful, but you want to make sure Doc is all right too. And he gets his due. And I think that's great.
Yeah. The time traveling train.
The train. The train.
That's great. That's crazy. How did he do that from the hoverboard there? I don't know.
I thought about that myself. I mean, he was given at least that much technology, so at least it gave him a roadmap of how to work, the repulsor lifts and stuff like that. And then, of course, he built the DeLorean in the first place, so he would remember what he did. So just building on that.
Adapting the 1800s technology, the 1880s technology to that, though.
Yeah. But you see the time passing for Doc because, as it was only, a day or so for Marty to figure out, or an hour or two for Marty to figure it all out. Doc, you see the children, you see all this, you see the signs there.
It's been many years, yeah.
And he had the groundwork of understanding and knowledge.
Right. He could translate the fight out chip to 1955 technology with the giant tubes and everything. So yeah, why not? After 10 years, be able to build a
steampunk, a steampunk DeLorean. Essentially.
Yeah.
A steampunk steam engine.
There it is.
We don't see any replicas of those around. I mean, come on, you got DeLoreans all over the place, but no trains.
I know. My favorite is when people are like, "Oh, look, the time traveler convention," and it's basically a parking lot full of DeLoreans and a TARDIS sitting in the corner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez. But I like this series as a whole. I can't watch just one movie. I usually have to watch it all the way through.
It is very iconic. Because
it all works. It's all intertwined a lot, and it works well together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had to stop at one, I'd stop at one and be happy. But usually, I would never stop at two. I have to go all the way through, and it's to me, it's a good trilogy that's really tied. They tied it tight together for me. So I thought it was kind of unique in that way.
Okay, if they had to make, or not, let's say it was announced they're making a 10-episode Netflix series reboot of Back to the Future, are you yay or nay? With it like a new cast?
I'm never going to say nay until I see what they do with it, because there's sometimes they might surprise, like the Battlestar Galactica reboot. That surprised me that I liked it as much as I did, because I love the original, absolutely. But they did a phenomenal job with that. So,
but there've also been some reboots that have made you go,
yeah. So it's really hard to say, but I'm hoping if they did go that way, then they do it right. But
would you be excited to hear about it? Let's say you read the announcement on.
I'd hate for it to be a reboot. I wouldn't mind it being, if they wanted to try to do a continuation of the story, like the Doc's Kids or something like that. I wouldn't want. I couldn't see recasting Marty McFly.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see recasting Doc Brown. I couldn't. It just wouldn't work. They're too. They became too iconic characters. I could see them continuing potentially.
Mm-hmm. My concern with that idea would stem from the fact that in this day and age, everything has to be a gritty reboot. Everything has to have more realism, more edge, more this, more that, because that's what people are responding to in this current tide of entertainment. And I don't see Back to the Future, as lighthearted and as fun as it is, translating successfully into gritty, edgy, darker, kind of a thing. I mean, you can create a whole new series about time travelers. God knows we've done millions of them at this point. Everybody wants to be Doctor Who. Everybody wants to be, Back to the Future, Star Trek, whatever the case may be. There's always some sort of time travel aspect to these stories these days. And so you can go ahead and do a time travel series that is loosely kind of inspired by, but a Back to the Future reboot, I don't know. I think leave it alone. Yeah. It's not necessary.
It doesn't mean people won't try it, but it's not necessary.
Right. And considering Christopher Lloyd's age and Michael J. Fox's health issues,
correct.
I'd wonder, did Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan, his wife, ever have a kid?
Yeah, they have two daughters.
Yeah, they have kids.
I wonder if you have offspring, if they're actors. They may not, probably aren't. You'd think you'd hear about it.
I think they're still young yet. I think they're teenagers. Yeah. I remember, I'm only thinking it because I saw pictures recently. They were talking celebrities and their families. It was one of those little surveys that you see on Facebook every so often. I'm just like, hey, what are they up to? And sure enough, there was Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan and their two girls, and they looked like high school girls, high school kids. So
I just saw Christopher Lloyd in a movie recently.
Yeah.
Movie recommendation. Nobody. It's an action movie, revenge movie, but really, really good. And
Okay.
Christopher Lloyd plays the main character's father.
Huh.
Okay, Michael J. Fox's son, Sam Michael Fox, is an actor. He's 32.
I've seen him in something. Yeah.
Am I right about the two daughters at least?
Akina is 26. That daughter. Esme is 19. And Skylar is 26.
Wow. So they've
got 4 kids. Okay.
Akina and Skylar, they're both February 15th. They're twins.
Twins. Yeah.
You figure Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan met on Family.
Oh yeah, they've been together for ages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of the great stories of, like, right up there with Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, with great stories of Hollywood stars that have been successful in their relationships. So.
Esme is a professional travel journalist who grew up in the UK, the Philippines, and Uganda.
Wow.
She's only 19.
That's a well-traveled family.
Well, now have her travel to the future.
Yeah, to answer the question though, I'm going to say no. I wouldn't want to see Back to the Future redone.
No, if they went for it, I'd try to watch it no matter what it is, because but I don't know. I wouldn't want it to happen, but if it did, I'd try to go in with an open mind.
Now that I'm thinking about it, the only way I would want to see it done is if it was like a kids movie, like a Disney Plus kind of a thing, where maybe a kids series but set for teenagers, and so you get your educational historical component in. So it's them, and there's maybe the kids, like you were saying, Billy, and some hijinks involved, but nothing as convoluted as the 3 movies were. But they're intentionally, they set this up. It's recapturing, but if you keep it in the young adult, or teenager, adolescent kind of time frame, then you're going to take a lot of the quote unquote risks out of it, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. But I don't see it as a full on thing.
Yeah. Let's not do it, Hollywood. Let's leave it like it is.
Hollywood can come up with some better ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although you bringing that up for some reason makes me want to watch the Indiana Jones Chronicles, or Young Indiana Jones, because that was very educational.
Yep. That's valid. I like that idea. I haven't watched that show in ages.
I don't think I ever watched it.
Yeah, me neither.
Not bad at all.
Okay.
I think you'd enjoy that.
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Tons. Gobs.
In fact, the new Space Jam comes out, I think, next week.
Really?
And it looks terrible.
Well, yeah, it's a Space Jam. They're supposed to be. They're not Oscar-winning movies.
Well, you had the first one on the Looney Tunes, Michael Jordan, and it was enjoyable. Mm-hmm. But the new one just looks. I've seen commercials or ads for it, and I don't like the animation style, and
yeah,
and I don't know, but.
Well, it's also, I'm pretty sure that the movie has been kind of castrated from, the vibe of the original one. So you're going to see, we have to be, this is like we were talking about, the whole politically correct aspect of it, and in throttling back to making sure you're protecting people's sensibilities and things like that. You're going to see a movie that is inspired by one that made jokes that the other one will be afraid to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, will Mel Brooks ever make another movie, because his humor is
Well, Mel Brooks is also 95, so the likelihood that he's going to be able to come together with a movie at this point is going to be a challenge to begin with.
But but his type of movies would not.
His type of movies are not capable of being made anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think. If they do, they would really have to be completely over the top just to try to quote unquote justify it, I suppose. But he did it with such intelligence, and I think We need to be talking about Mel Brooks movies in a future series as well. I mean, he's made so many, but if we'll pick 3 and just say it's the Mel Brooks sequence kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, one's got to be Spaceballs.
Of course.
Absolutely. Well, haven't we done Spaceballs before?
I don't think so.
No, we haven't touched
Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles, and History
Young
of the
Frankenstein, and Silent Movie, and
The Producers.
Yellowbeard, and Producers, and yeah.
I've seen Yellowbeard. I've seen Spaceballs. I think that's about it.
And Robin Hood, Men in Tights.
Oh, yep, I've seen that one.
We got to do that one.
Absolutely. So we'll work on that
we're
series.
Men in Tights. Tights.
What do we want to do? Well, you know what? I tell you what. I think we've run the course on this particular movie at this point. We've talked about everything we could think of on this one so far, unless you guys have other points you want to make about Back to the Future 3.
No.
All right,
so let's close that conversation, take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hypothesize what we want to do next, and we'll hit our question of the week. So we're back from break in 12, 11, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Dan had already pushed record again.
I know.
Well, I have to push before because I never know what he's going to do in a countdown.
Gee, is he unpredictable in that regards?
You can predict the fact that I'm going to be unpredictable.
Yes.
Aye. So where are we going from here?
Yes, we've done the Star Wars original trilogy. We've done Back to the Future trilogy. Do we want to keep with trilogies, or do we want to do a one-off? Do we have like make 2 movies?
Well, we're going in the summer. I mean, how are we?
Summer blockbuster movies?
Get out of my head, Christopher! I just had summer blockbusters. That same phrase go right through my brain when you said that.
We've been friends for a very long time, so
I
we
know.
can start predicting each other's thoughts.
Tell you. So maybe
what blockbusters are we going to do?
Independence Day.
I love that movie.
It's appropriate for today.
There you go.
We're
recording on Independence Day.
Yes.
Have you seen the new Bill Pullman commercial?
No, I haven't.
It's for Budweiser. He does a new presidential speech.
Oh, does he really?
Yep.
Budweiser.
It's not the frogs.
Budweiser made some memorable commercials. Come on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Independence Day. What else?
Independence Day. What are some of the other big blockbuster movies?
Blockbusters.
Yeah,
Men in Black.
Well, the original was Jaws.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's a no from Tanya.
I don't want to watch Jaws.
Nom 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 nom.
If I have to, I will, but I won't like it.
We'll consider it Billy's revenge for Legally Blonde.
No,
secretly he liked it because his wife loves it.
Yeah, Susan loves it, but
Spider-Man is on the list. Die Hard apparently was a summer blockbuster movie.
Was it?
It's a Christmas movie, damn it!
I know, seriously.
It's all time of year. It's
30 best summer blockbuster movies of all time on Entertainment Weekly's website. Rambo: First Blood Part 2 is on the list. Next slide. There's Something About Mary. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yay! I am Groot.
Advertisement. It's moving on.
Shrek.
I love Shrek.
Inception was a good. Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Saving Private Ryan. Gladiator was a great freaking movie. Independence Day, which we just talked about. Toy Story 3. Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Fantastic movie. I
love that movie.
To talk about.
All right, so let's come up with some names and we come off the air and then
we'll surprise them.
Yeah, so we don't
Back
know.
to the Future was a summer blockbuster, July 3rd, 1985.
There you go.
So,
all right.
We already talked about that one.
I know.
E.T., Dark Knight, Jurassic Park.
All right, so here.
Number 1.
You're listening to the podcast. You tell us what you think. We're talking about summer blockbuster movies, and we're going to have this discussion. This podcast is going to come out on Wednesday, so let's get your opinions and see what you think about it. John, James, Elizabeth, guys, you guys start telling us what you think we should be talking about.
Let's wrap up here.
Okay.
Have we done question 93?
No, we haven't. If you had to get rid of a holiday, which would you get rid of and why?
Ironically, I think mine is 4th of July because I hate everybody in the neighborhood with their fireworks. Although it might not stop at getting rid of the holidays. So. And I do have a fun picnic to go to later. So, what holiday?
I would say Columbus Day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the day off, but
I never get the day off for that.
You forget I'm a teacher.
Yes, you're a teacher. But
I would say Columbus Day.
Did we lose Chris? It's been quiet.
Did we lose him?
Oh, this goddamn thing.
Oh.
I guess not.
I'm here. No, it's just Juno decided to try to jump up on my lap, and she hit the mute button on me.
Oops.
I say, Chris isn't usually quiet that long. I hope he'll.
Yeah, I'm here.
He was
Should I
taking
go check on him?
welfare check.
I'm sitting here going, and it was funny. I was agreeing with Tanya. I'm like, yeah, Columbus Day. We should probably get rid of that one. That's been a big thing lately. And you guys are just talking over me. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Dan says, "Where's Chris?" And I'm like, "I'm talking to you, you moron." Oh no,
I'm not a moron. I'm a lesson. Let that be a lesson to you.
Ooh, baby. No, that was my fault anyway.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I agree with Tanya on the whole get rid of Columbus Day, and especially with the political trends and people talking about it lately. I would replace it with Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm all about that. I think that's a great idea. I would also get rid of Arbor Day. I would get rid of National Fondue Day. I think that's a waste of time.
Ooh, National Ice Cream Day was the other day. I'm not getting rid of that one.
That one I'm keeping.
Yeah, we keep that one.
That was Friday.
Uh-huh.
Or at least one of the National Ice Cream Days or whatever.
Can I just, I'm going to, maybe slightly controversial take. I would get rid of Father's Day. It's so...
They shouldn't turn it into like a Parents' Day.
We're so after dads are so afterthought, and most of us are okay with it. It's like my Father's Day. The kids kind of, one lives with me. The other one called me up and said, "I want to see you. Come on over." So I visited for a little bit, and that was cool. But for the most part, my dad and I are like, "Hey, happy Father's Day. Yeah, whatever. What are you doing this weekend?" We just brush it over.
Yeah.
Well, then you came gaming.
I like the Parents' Day.
Gaming.
We just we don't need parents, and we don't need a grandparents' day. We don't need your uncle's day, whatever. You should
revere your family every day. You don't need a special day for it.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them are just Hallmark holidays in order to sell like a $5.99 card.
Right.
Which cost them 25 cents to make.
Oh,
right.
I got graduation cards the other day, and I'm just like, oh my god. The card cost a quarter of what I was going to put in, money wise. It was like an arm and a leg. I put more money in it than that, but still, going to Target, it was for the simplest card, it was $3.99. I'm like, really? Have I just gotten old and cheap in regards to that?
No. January 2nd is Science Fiction Day.
I don't know.
I'm in.
It's all in the past.
Old Rock Day. January 16th is Nothing Day. That's nice.
Oh, good. Leave it that way. So tell us which holiday you would get rid of. Yes, I'm talking to you, the one listening to this podcast right now. We want your input. So what holiday would you get rid of? And what movies do you think we should be getting ready to talk about in the near future? So we want your input. Tell us what you think. And so I think that's good. Are we set? Do we have anything else we want to say?
I'm saying we're not getting rid of Chocolate Cake Day on January 27th.
That I'm all about. I'm okay with that one. As a matter of fact, we should have the day off from work for that one.
Yeah. Oh,
and we're not getting, for me and Dan, we're not getting rid of whatever National Popcorn Day is.
Well, that one, I just passed that one too. That one is January 19th.
Okay.
And February 5th is Work Naked Day. So
Well, okay.
Is that the Naked Podcast Day?
Yeah,
That's
probably. February 5th is going to be after work naked. So,
what day of the week is February 5th in 2022?
There's a whole bunch of. This is a silly.
It scares me.
Silly ones here. There's a pistachio day, and
it's a Saturday.
Oh.
February 5th of 2022 is a Saturday, so work naked day all day on Saturday. I think we could do that. We'll podcast all day. It'll be great.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll be naked under my clothes.
Underneath all these clothes I'm wearing, I'm completely naked.
Da-da.
Okay.
So with that being said,
Dan.
Dan.
Oh, Chris.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Chris.
Dan.
Yeah, Chris. What you got?
Hit it. Because this has been FC3's Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you September 25th and 26th of 2021.
Yay!
Total sports experience in Gates. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever we go, and we will lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week. Have a safe week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Dun,
Dun, dun.